What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Chicken Bucket Boys podcast. I'm your host, as always, Brian DeGennaro, along with the great Paraskevas, Xenophontos. What's going on, Para?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. We're getting into baseball, about to start back up. Things are looking good. So we got a few things we want to touch on today. First thing is they released the schedule for this year, which is awesome. So what do you took a look at it, right? What did you think about it?
Well, we are 2 weeks away. Thursday will be officially 2 weeks till Yankees opening day, and they start off in Washington. So it's going to be a great showdown. You have Max Scherzer versus Garrett Cole.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Top two of the top three pitchers in MLB going at it, especially. And Washington's the defending champs. So major props to them. They beat the cheaters last year, so they figured out a way to beat their rhythm of not trash banging any cans during the game. But it would be a great game. And then it's interesting because usually the Yankees start off against the AL East, but since it's a 60-game season, they're actually starting off.
Yeah, the first 7 games are against the NL East, actually. So it's
we start
the Nationals and Phillies. It's going to be
back to back. We're in Philadelphia for 2 games after Washington, and then we come back to the stadium. We face Philadelphia for 2 games. A nice Joe Girardi welcoming back to Yankee Stadium. Also
and
for
Didi Gregorius
and David Robertson.
And it was David Robertson and Andrew McCutchen. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
Yankees light, huh?
It's sad that a lot of these players you forget, but like with Joe Girardi, he's more recent. McCutchen's more recent. But if this was 10 years ago, everybody would forget those players actually played for the Yankees.
Nah, that's true. Oh man, I loved having McCutchen on the team. I know it was for a short amount of time, but he was awesome.
And not going back with McCutchen, he actually said something about the facial hair policy, and there's a lot of boomers that are against it. Sometimes you can break tradition, guys. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, we've addressed this a lot on the site, but we're not big fans of the facial hair policy. We think it's a little outdated.
Back to the facial hair policy, it's been going on since the 70s, but sometimes it's better to break the tradition. It's 2020. There's going to be sports teams changing their teams' names, Indians on the brink of changing their name. But enough of this political stuff. I'm sorry, everybody. But after the Phillies, then that's when we get into AL East games. They come back to the stadium. They play the Red Sox for 3 games. And then they go out on the road. They play Baltimore for 3 games. And then they go down to Florida and they play the Tampa Bay Rays for 4 games. And then they come back again to the stadium and they play the Braves, the Red Sox, and the Rays. And then they go to their crosstown New York rival, the Mets, for 3 games.
They're actually playing the Mets for an exhibition game, or 2 exhibition games right before the season starts. So that'll be something to watch.
Yeah, they play on the 18th and 19th and the 20th. They play the Mets. They play and they're also playing the Phillies. So, But it's just so exciting that you have baseball back. It's like I'm always the Debbie Downer, and I said back in March we weren't going to have a season. I said in April, but hopefully
it's cool because obviously we're not getting a normal season, but it's kind of cool that we're getting a lot of games against the NL East and the AL East. I mean, that's the whole schedule, so it's different. It feels different, and I think we kind of needed that this year. The only thing that I'm kind of upset about is that the season ends with 3 games against the Marlins of all teams. So that's kind of boring. Weren't we supposed to end against the Astros? That would have been cool.
I believe September 20th to the 23rd, they were supposed to play the Astros at home. That was going to be a zoo. Yankee Stadium was going to be a zoo. We were planning an unhinged trip down to Yankee Stadium, watch the game with the boys. It would have been phenomenal, but
yeah.
But the Dodgers at least get them.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. So that's must-watch TV.
I believe it's the 12th,
especially if Kershaw's pitching. Jesus Christ.
But I have a question regarding that series later on when we play Smash, Trash, or Pass. But
okay.
So on the second half of the 30-game schedule, after they play the Mets, they go to Atlanta. They play the Braves for 2 games, and they come back to New York. And it's more games against the Mets, the Rays, and the Orioles. And then they don't head to Toronto towards the end of the season.
They come to Yankee Stadium at least once, and we go there. So I don't know what's going on.
Actually, the Yankees go to Toronto twice, and they play the Blue Jays once at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, they play 3 games in Toronto. Then they go to Baltimore. They come back home. And then they play 7 games between the Orioles and the Blue Jays.
That's kind
And
of
then
weird.
they finish the season off in Boston, in Toronto, and then they come back and they finish off the season against the Marlins. I mean, it's not every day for 60 games you get to play a combination of games against the Marlins and the Orioles, especially.
That is nice. I would have liked a few more games against the Marlins, but what are you gonna do? But I mean, you gotta also realize the Red Sox are really not that good this year. They're not gonna be good this year.
They don't even have a starting. They don't even have a starting rotation. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm most worried about like the Braves, the Nationals, and probably the Rays as well. But honestly, the schedule doesn't look that difficult. So hopefully things end up working out.
But like as we mentioned on hopefully with the lineup they have, so we won't get into it too that much, but the Yankees have been playing intra-squad games, especially against each other, the Yankees versus the Bombers, but the Yankees are obviously the more dominant. The Yankees are the most dominant lineup possible, but obviously one man that they're missing from these lineups are DJ LeMahieu and Luis Cesar from the bullpen, because it was brought to our attention that they tested positive for coronavirus. So we don't know when we get DJ back. And over the weekend, Masahiro Tanaka got drilled in the head by Giancarlo Stanton during a live simulation game. But luckily, it was a mild concussion, and Tanaka, obviously, it's not the same at the moment, but we don't know when he'll be back. So, as again, it's the 2020 season. The Yankees still have injuries, but I'm sending prayers to them. Hopefully, they beat all of this and they come back for opening day or later on in the season. But going back to the coronavirus, there's been a lot of players opted out, and it's interesting that this is going to be on a daily basis that we find out players that have opted out. I have a list of all players that have opted out so far. So the first couple of known ones were Mike Leake from the Diamondbacks, Ryan Zimmerman, who is on the verge of retiring. He won his ring with the Nationals last year. He decided to opt out due to his concern about his family, his health, and a lot of the tests, so he doesn't know if he's protected. Joe Ross of the Nationals also opted out. Ian Desmond did it preferably because of his family. He didn't, so he's choosing to sit out. Tyson Ross, he's not officially on a team yet. He's still a free agent. David Price of the Dodgers, but I give as much as the Yankees have dominated David Price over the years, I give major respect to him, because back in June, he just he chose on his own to donate $1,000 every week to minor leaguers, especially with the whole pay cuts, and sadly, there's not going to be a minor league season this year. So a lot of the Yankees players that are on the 60-man roster have a lot of opportunities, especially Clark Schmidt, who hasn't really pitched in AAA or AA due to when he was drafted back in 2017. He had Tommy John and the Yankees do it, but he pitched in an intra-squad game, and he did phenomenally well. His pitches were on point, and honestly, he's going to be a 2 or 3 man in the starting rotation in a couple of years, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, he looked really good, and I think he could definitely break the rotation this year at some point.
I hope so.
It would be awesome to see because he has some nasty stuff.
And Aaron Boone even said he doesn't even know who's going to be their 5th starter. They haven't really decided yet, because they're going to need
with
Tanaka
out,
you're going to need 3 to 5.
He's going to be out.
Yeah, so more players that have opted out is Felix Hernandez from the Atlanta Braves. Nick Markakis is up. Yeah, he actually signed with the Braves. Nick Markakis actually opted out for the sake of his family. And Freddie Freeman's another player that tested positive for coronavirus. So Nick basically made his decision after having a conversation with Freddie Freeman. He said he wasn't sounding well, and I don't want to have this effect on myself and for my family because I have to be there for them. And that's majority of the players that have opted out. So obviously coronavirus is nothing to mess around with. And even Joe West made a comment today. He said, all these deaths that have happened in the world, I honestly don't believe it has to do with coronavirus. Joe
West
really?
is an idiot. He's not even good at his job, so I don't care what he said.
It's like so dumb. How could you come out and say that? It's like this is not a joke. It's just like,
no, it's all fake news. What are you talking about? So
and It's just the daily protocols. MLB obviously has had numerous players come out and confront them that they're doing a terrible job doing the testing. There's some players that are being held back from playing because their coronavirus results haven't come back yet. So
Yeah,
basically, you get
the whole
tested,
thing is a mess.
and then you have to wait. Like you had months to prepare for this, even though you had your negotiations was absolutely garbage. You could have at least during your protocol meeting with the Players Association, you could have had a saying of what to do.
You
Even the
expect too
Yankees,
much of MLB.
especially Rob Manfred, he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing.
No, no. The
So
whole thing is the way they've handled the whole situation has been a nightmare, and I assume it's going to go wrong. Let's just say at some point. So, I didn't have much faith coming in, and I don't feel any better now.
as much as we want baseball, obviously we have our concerns down the road. Are they even going to start on time? Is there going to be more testing done? I'm assuming they're going to be testing the players every week or every day, especially going into games.
Yeah, I think it's every 2 days or something like that. But
And I also heard I'm not sure if it was a Michael K show or was it a Yes Network broadcast. Another great question I heard was, what happens if a pitcher he's starting that day and he comes to take his test and he tests positive? What happens? Do you just send him home and you just use somebody else?
I guess you have to. And that's the point of the whole taxi squad. Have other extra guys ready.
Yeah, so going into the MLB season, I've created a bunch of questions for you for a late best game, smash, trash, or pass.
All right.
My first question is for you. Rich Hill had his concern today that personnel that are bat boys, equipment people, training staff, a lot of them are not being tested on a daily basis, just like the players are. He says that they should be tested, especially because a lot of them are touching their equipment. A lot of them are doing work on them, especially for training and everything. Do you believe that personnel should be tested every day for the coronavirus? Smash, trash, or pass?
I mean, yeah, obviously they should, but we don't have enough tests. We just don't. And the fact that MLB is even getting extra tests to be able to test their players as much as they are is kind of ridiculous in itself. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, yes, they should test because we just don't have the capability to do that. How often do they get tested? Do you know?
I believe it's every 2 days.
Every 2 days? Well, that's.
But the thing is with the players
okay.
is a lot of them who are getting tested aren't even finding the results in time.
But I'm also hearing that the results aren't really always reliable. Like, wasn't there a player that tested positive, then tested negative, then tested positive again? I forget who it was. So,
Yeah,
but there was someone that happened to. So it's like, even if you're testing these people all the time, there could still be someone who sneaks by, you know?
And I'm thinking with all.
I mean, obviously, I'm for more testing. I think more testing would be great. Yes. So yes, I will smash that one.
And I know I'm going to smash this too because I know with all sports that if a player tests positive the first time, before they can come again back to their team, they have to test negative twice.
Right.
So by the for the process of them having to do that, obviously they're going to miss maybe 20 plus games.
I would think so. Yeah. If you think about it, first off, if you test positive, if I remember correctly, you have to be out for 2 weeks.
It's 14 days immediately quarantine.
Yeah, it's mandatory 14 days. Then after that, you have to test negative twice. Yeah. So you're out at least 14 days. Say you test negative your first available day, then that's one negative. Then you do it the next or 2 days later, that's the second negative. That's 16 days, right? So yeah. I mean, that's basically.
And the scary thing with this virus, is you can have it without having any symptoms.
Yeah.
So there could be players on teams that have it and they don't even realize it.
Which I would think is more likely in this case because it's younger people who are in pretty decent shape, and usually that's the criteria for people who have no symptoms.
And with baseball, you're not even having a bubble. Like a lot of them are traveling. either
Yeah.
via transportation.
Well, that's what's so ridiculous about this whole thing. They should have just done a bubble because
Yeah.
that's the only way that you're gonna get. That's the only way that you're gonna be able to finish a season without having to deal with massive players getting sick. And if a team loses a couple of their key players, it ruins the whole season for them. So it's just the whole thing is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Don't get me started.
My next question for the game is: will one or more elite baseball players opt out of the season?
Yeah, I'm gonna smash this one. We've already seen a few, and you could even probably call David Price an elite player. I'm not a big fan, but still, I could definitely see Mike Trout sitting out. For one, he's been very vocal about how he doesn't feel comfortable playing right now, and he seems like he's on the fence right now with whether or not he's going to play. He hasn't said definitively I'm going to play. So I could definitely see him doing it, and if he does it, I could see a bunch of other players doing it. But I think it's more likely that we're going to see the superstar players who have massive contracts already opt out because they're financially sound. They don't have to worry about losing a season or anything like that. I think it's more the mid-tier players or the older players who are on their, towards the end of their careers and they need to make that extra money.
I agree with you. I smashed this because I believe early next month, Mike Trout's wife is expected to have their son or daughter, and it's a scary situation because I know Garrett Cole just had his son, but I think he's expected to play. I don't think because Cashman said that.
The way he's talked, it sounded more like he's comfortable playing. Whereas whenever I see a quote from Mike Trout, it's always, "I'm not comfortable. I'm not really 100% comfortable with this." So I could see where it would be more likely where he would opt out.
And especially in California, their cases have spiked so much from the last 4 months. Their numbers haven't even gone down at all. So I could opt, especially if you're uncertain if you want to play, because we saw a picture of Mike Trout running the bases with a mask on. So his safety protocols are 100% over the fence, and I could see him opting out. This leads into my next question. Will an AL East player win MVP this year?
Because you're thinking Trout will sit out. I'm gonna. Well, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. Well, let's think about it realistically. Who's in the running? We got Trout. We got Judge.
You got Bregman. Sadly, I don't want to say the name, but Bregman was, I believe, number 2 or number 3.
Nah, I'm not concerned about him. Lindor, you could say, might be in the running for it.
Possibly Sanchez, maybe Torres.
I doubt it, but I guess they could be in the running. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna trash this because I feel like the Yankees. If it's gonna be someone in the AL, at least it's gonna be someone on the Yankees. And I don't know. I don't have a great feeling going into this season. Judge is still not 100% healthy. Neither is Stanton. And
even if he said he's 100% ready to go, he's been since spring training.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always going to be lingering issues. That's not something that just heals overnight. He's going to need some time to heal. And I hate to say it, but there's always the chance that he re-aggravates it or aggravates something else. So I think it's more likely that Trout or someone else will win it. So I'm going to trash that one.
I'm just going to pass on this because I don't want to give a definite answer because there's a good possibility.
Soft.
And no, I'm just going to say this because there's a possibility, even 60 games, a nobody player, like a player you would least expect it could have an outstanding 60-game season and put himself up for MVP, slugger, everything. So that's why I'm going to pass it because there's not a guarantee. It will be the players you would least expect to show themselves during these 60 games. Another award question. Will Jacob deGrom three-peat as Mr. Cy Young?
Wow, that's a tough one. It's tough because I want to say yes. But I realize how unlikely is that? Like, has anyone ever three-peated as a Cy Young?
I don't think so. Well, let me double check.
I mean, here's my thought process. I would think that he could because you're going to need a very consistent pitcher this year to win Cy Young because, it's a very short season, and so you can't afford to be streaky. You can't afford to have a bad run or like a really good run and then a really bad run. You have to be consistent. That's the only way that it's going to work.
Yeah.
So I want to say yes, but has anyone three-peated? Did you look it up?
Greg Maddux three-peated, and then it was featured later by Randy Johnson.
Okay, so two of the greatest pitchers ever. This is really tough. You know what? I'm going to smash it. Screw it. I think he can do it. I think if anyone can do it, he can. He's looked so good the last couple of years. I don't see that changing. And like I said, I think that you're going to need to have someone who's consistently good in order to win this year. You can't afford to be streaky. So I'm gonna smash it.
And actually, Greg Maddux didn't actually three-peat. He four-peated.
Oh, Jesus, of course he did.
From 92 to 95. In this 92, he won it with the Cubs. And then from 93 to 95, he won it with the Braves. Wow. Even awesome. Randy Johnson did it. They both won 4 straight Cy Youngs.
That's insane.
Scary. I'm going to smash this one too because based on his win or loss records, best I don't really think they consider that, but sadly for Jacob deGrom in the last 2 years he's won it, there's always a time that the Mets never scored runs for him. And that's the sad. He would go strong for 7 innings and the Mets bullpen will blow a lead. So
no, they'd lose games 2-1 and stuff like that. Like the poor guy. Imagine if he were on a good team.
If he was on the Yankees, he would win at least 15 plus games.
I would think more than that. But yeah. All right, so we're both smashing that. Awesome.
And that's all we have for today's Smash, Trash, or Pass and the Chicken Bucket Boys podcast, which is powered by PTX Media and Unhinged Media. He's Brian DeGennaro. I'm Paraskevas Xenophontos. We will see you in 2 weeks, and I believe that will be a week. I believe that's actually the week the season starts, so we'll have a lot of preview for opening day on Thursday, July 23rd between the Yankees and the Nationals. And stay safe, everybody. Have a good night.
Cheers.